Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States of America. And of course, good morning to the entire world getting our signals via the magic of the internet created by you and we, the people. Of course, now controlled by the billionaires, something that we intend to mitigate over time. But without further ado, let's get busy and move on to the geniuses, los genios, in the studio. Good morning, my brothers. How are you doing?
Well, there's Heinous 1 and Heinous 2.
All right, I like that one.
Good morning, Egberto. It is, what is it, Thursday, January 9th already? Almost the end of the week.
Can you believe 9 days? But you know what? Remember this? We've been missing you. Where have you been?
I've been out making some money.
I know. I just had to say it.
When you work here, you've got to take on extra jobs, because this ain't exactly a high-paying job here. High stress, high demand, but not high-paying.
Oh, Lord. Gonzalo called in yesterday, and Gonzalo said, yeah, you guys are crazy, so we've already earned our crazy stripes.
We know that for a fact. Well, I've been watching the interesting movements here of us going to war with Greenland.
Oh, Lord.
What? Seriously? It's laughable.
It's that gas galop.
Hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings. The first thing you thought about was Greenland and not Panama.
Oh,
come on! I'm
from
Panama, man. Oh my God.
Well, I know. Okay, well, I've been sitting here curiously watching the coming apocalypse that's going to really mess up a lot of things. But we want to annex Canada, who has absolutely no interest in being part of the United States. We want to take back the Panama Canal, which by treaty was given to them in 1999, because we built that and used it for about 80 years.
Yeah, try 99 years. I mean, actually, yeah, you're right. Actually, opened in 1914.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, somewhere around there, and then we gave it to them. And then he wants to take it back. How is this going to help gas prices? How is this going to lower your grocery prices? And then the audacity, the Gulf of America. Well, there are other countries that are attached to that Gulf that may not want their body of water renamed Gulf of America. It's just this asinine stuff. You're looking at it going, and this is what people voted for? Seriously?
Well,
but that's what we got.
The Mexican president had fun with him.
Oh, yeah. Now, well, she told him how the cow ate the cabbage. I said, it's not our country that has the problem. It's your country that has the problem.
Yeah.
So don't bring your garbage down here. So anyway,
I tell you.
Jack has a full page of wisdom here, probably much wiser than my comments this morning. They would have to be. So go right ahead.
So, Jack.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
All right. I've been thinking about the relationship between corporate power and government here lately. So America has always had a symbiotic relationship with big corporate power. After all, capitalism is our economic model. Corporate power needs government to shield it from prosecution when they go into a country to extract resources, because corporate doesn't aim to clean up after itself or build the local infrastructure like schools and roads. This usually causes the leaders to start pushing back on the corporation. That's when the corporate power goes to the politicians to intervene on their behalf with lawsuits, sanctions, and even military action. We need to examine this relationship between government and corporate power to see who is the bad players.
Or who is in charge. We know that. Hey, let me take a minute here to thank Jack for filling in my absence. Jack, I couldn't run this place without you, man.
I appreciate it.
Well, I'm only telling you the truth. So thank you very much for letting me earn some money, and your cut will be in the mail here pretty soon.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't do it out of the kindness of his heart. I actually pay him to do this stuff.
Yeah, it works out.
You made him you made him smile. You made him smile. Well, as it is, you're Batman, he's your Robin, right?
Well, I guess.
No, we're Laurel and Hardy.
That's right.
Okay. But anyway, my dear brothers and sisters over the airwaves, over the internet, today is, of course, Neil Aquino Day. So I'm going to ask Neil to introduce himself, but I do want to make a comment on what Jack has to say after Neil introduces himself. So my brother Neil, the founder of the Houston Democracy Project.
Very good. Hello, studio. Hello, vast audience. Happy New Year. My first Democracy Project segment of the new year, Houston Democracy Project.com. And I think Mexico should claim the Houston Ship Channel. If they could plant the flag right at the San Jacinto monument and battlefield right there. Come and get it, and the Houston Ship Channel, I think, would be an excellent place for a land claim and a tit for tat a little bit for the canal, our own canal. They can take it.
That is so funny, but Jack. That is funny, Neil. That is really funny. But I want to touch on something that Jack talked about, capitalism, because there are some people who complain a lot when I make commentary on capitalism as if I am un-American in saying this system has not worked for most, because again, it's a set of facades. I want to be very, very clear to all of those who email me and accuse me of being un-American. I am as red-blooded as American now as you are. This is a country where a lot of people came in and form about. Now, that doesn't, and let me also state about capitalism. I am 100% pro-democracy and 100% pro-free enterprise. Free enterprise meaning everybody has the freedom to create their own business enterprise, to make income, make profits. I am for all of that. What the lie that has been told to us since our inception is that there was some relationship between this, a type of economic system called capitalism, and we, from Nancy Pelosi to everybody else, tries to equate that to freedom, tries to equate that to democracy, and try to equate that to being free. It is completely false. If you listen to what Jack had to say about how things work, how when capital comes in or when the industry comes in, they take advantage. All of that is true and by design, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Milton Friedman, the second god of capitalism, pointed out that the sole purpose of the executives in corporations is to maximize shareholder value. It says nothing about environment. It says nothing about humanity. It says nothing about illness. It says nothing about healthcare. It says nothing about any of these things. So capitalism as a model must do, the executives who execute that model must do everything to maximize shareholder value. And what are shareholders? Shareholders are the people who own pieces of any business enterprise. And that business, in other words, if I own a share, I own a piece of that business, and the executors of that business Their responsibility is to make me a profit however they need to. What that means is by design, every business defaults into a monopoly. Because if I want to maximize my business, the goal is to make sure my competition disappears. Because that's how I get maximal profits. That is by design. You can go to business school and they will try to give you all kinds of fancy words to tell you the same. I have a series coming out called with Patrick Lovell called talks about the billionaire and how they took $71 trillion out of our economy. What we want is, as opposed to capitalism being on the top of the tree, we want free enterprise being at the top of the tree. For people who want to execute capitalism, that can be one thread in that series, in that tree. But don't be fooled. All the income inequality and wealth disparity that we are seeing here, it's not an accident. It's by design. It's a mathematical formula that governs capitalism. And the results is everything you heard Brother Jack Van Beber articulate. And that you hear everybody who complains about our economic system says. It is nothing more. It is nothing more than antiseptic slavery, because there are a whole bunch of people, there's a small number of people who buy up pieces of companies, property, who's executed by the workers, okay? And the workers themselves, whenever you hear somebody say, my money worked for me, the shareholders' money is working for them, what they mean is that they have the little peon slaves doing the jobs that earns them a profit. And I'm ready to take any comment on that over the phone whenever you'd like to. But beforehand, I need to change the subject and give the floor to my brother, the founder of Houston Democracy Project, Neil Aquino. Brother Neil.
Great. Good morning. And we have such a great studio crew. I got a text suggestion that maybe I'm not audible. So I'm not sure over the air. But
I am looking at your I'm looking at your signal right now, and the signal going to the studio is there now. So we'll see.
Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you. The Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And this is a blog post I wrote a couple days after Christmas about Senator Cornyn, John Cornyn. And there was a poll that came out a couple days ago. I think it might have been by some right-wing propaganda firm, but it had Ken Paxton leading Senator Cornyn in a hypothetical Republican primary in 2 years, or actually now just 14 months away by a considerable amount, right? So you can never be awful enough for Texas Republicans. But what got me to write about Senator Cornyn is that he made a tweet about the nation of Georgia. So they've been having just disputed elections. There's a pro Putin side. There's a pro Western side. We know the West isn't some, democracy certainly imperfect, but I would not be on the pro Putin side. Cornyn posted and tweeted and commented on the right side, right? He knew the difference between right and wrong. He commented on the right side, and then I remembered, and I went back and checked because I knew and remembered. He went in October with 4 other Republican senators to Hungary and criticized Viktor Orban. And we hear the CPAC meetings and all the Republican and right-wing commentators. They love Viktor Orban because he's seen as this template of authoritarian democracy. So I'm looking at this article in The Hill from October. 5 senators went to Hungary, criticized Orban, right? Senators from Kansas, North Dakota, Arkansas, right? And this just struck me so because they know this stuff is wrong. They know. And so, and here's Senator Cornyn, 72 years old, going to be primaried no matter what he does. He could cure cancer, okay? And they would primary him and call him a rhino. He recently ran for majority leader and was defeated by John Thune of South Dakota. So he's at the end of his career. No matter what he does, he's primaried. He's later in life. He knows the difference between an anti-Democrat, and still he does the wrong thing. Even at the expense of our freedom. And it's unbelievable. I know I'm just screaming at the wind for this, but it's just something that he could say the right thing about Europe, knows the deal in Europe, and still lets Trump go on without comment, and our freedom be damned.
It completely shocks me that otherwise very intelligent men are so scared and concerned about such an inept person calling themselves a president that has proven to be nothing but a thug. I sit down and watch intelligent people cave to this guy and it's not only in the Republican Party. We have to be honest. Democrats did not hit Donald Trump the way they should. The media did not hit Donald Trump the way they should. And you can't put the blame on the average American citizen and just say, well, they're gullible. Neil, you, myself, Jack, Howard, we listen to politics every day, even as I know Howard prefers his music, but we are engaged in politics. But there are a lot of people that they're so darn busy, whatever medium of trust they think they have, that's where they will get their information. So we can't put too much blame on them. But these guys like Cornyn and otherwise, that they fall for the okey doke, that they fall for the stupidity we know it's gangster reasons, right? I mean, there are people who've already said, well, if they go against Donald Trump, their families are in danger. Well, maybe it's time for, as soon as somebody feels that they're in danger, to arrest the source of the danger. But what can I say? But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with Johnny. Johnny is on the line. Come on in, Johnny.
Given the current political landscape and how everything seems up for grabs, in other words, theoretical, I had to double check my own perception, my own concept of surreal. I looked it up. And so it says surreal describes something that's a bizarre mix of elements, often jarring and seemingly nonsensical. Images that can be surreal, like the melting clocks in a Salvador Dali painting, but so can strange, dreamlike moments in everyday life. And that sums up the following. I'm thinking about Jimmy Carter's funeral today, and I'm thinking about how surreal an experience it must be to be burying your grandfather, who served in the Oval Office 44 years ago, while hearing news about 20,000 plus homes destroyed over the course of a day or two by wildfires in Los Angeles, and contemplating that a mob boss is headed for that same Oval Office that your grandfather once served. You talk about surreal. The Webster's Dictionary, when they issue a new Webster's, they should have a description of today's events as an example. In that definition.
I mean, wow. I love the way you strung all of that together. I mean, that is really the definition of surreal. And you know what? It's interesting. It will be getting worse because Donald Trump has just pretty much forced Facebook to create just like Elon Musk is creating an alternate state of reality, not only in the United States, but in Great Britain, in Germany, in Austria, in all these other countries, so that he can have try to have an effect on their politics. Now we have a sanction that Facebook is sanctioned to allow Donald Trump and his minions to get on board and continue the lie-in to make sure that those folks that they have already ill-informed continue ill-informed. I mean, that's surreal. If you think this is surreal, the types of stuff that people are going to believe going forward makes surreal look surreal.
And you know what I'm thinking of right now when you just said that? I was brought to that fictitious character from A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson's character in the courtroom, Colonel Nathan Jessup. Right. He says, "You can't handle the truth." You don't know. They can't handle the truth, and they admitted it because they just said Facebook can't have fact-checking anymore. What does that mean? That Republicans can't handle the truth, that they know their minion who vote for them can't handle the truth. But on a positive note, I want to end with, believe it or not, something that made me feel a little bit better is, believe it or not, before I called you, before I switched over to KPFT, I have running KUHF, right, for the BBC overnight. Mm-hmm. And I heard, before I went to KPFT, that Jimmy Carter's favorite song was, guess what?
What?
Imagine, by John Lennon.
Oh, I love Imagine.
Talk about surreal. A note from the grave from Jimmy Carter. Even Jimmy Carter, a final message from Jimmy Carter is for us to not give up and to imagine.
There you go.
And that's exactly what I
guess what? We're not giving up. We are not giving up. That's why we have Neil Aquino here with the Houston Democracy Project. That's why we have all these folks that are going to stay engaged. I was supposed to give a talk yesterday, and that is exactly what my theme was going to be.
Neil Aquino, God bless Neil Aquino, too. God bless Neil.
Neil, you want to make a comment on this at all? Come on in, Neil.
Well, let me just say, I think that the social media stuff, of course, some of us are old enough to remember when we were told this would be a great panacea. This would open up democracy and make us free. But I think that's a great, we've got to support our own sources of information. Politics Done Right, the Democracy Project, independent media, independent sources of information. It needs support, and we're gonna have to have our own information ecosystem. I feel that's a cliche, that term. I was trying to find some better words, but we need to really support each other.
There's one other element.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Before I hang up, one other element. Don't forget, Neil. Music, the power of music, like John Lennon and like all the musicians who KPFT has put forth into the ether for decades. Music is important too.
Yeah, excellent. Well, look, thank you, my brother. Let me see. What they're saying is that they can't hear Neil on Facebook, so I think I need to put it on the right track. I think Neil is probably on Facebook now. I think that was a little error, but thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johnny. Let's see. Can you hear Neil on Facebook now? Let's see. Joe, Peggy Lopez. Okay, I think we're good now.
Good.
Let me know, guys. Anyway, let's go ahead and pick up Steve. Come on in, Steve.
Hey, morning, Neil and Egberto. Feliz año nuevo, hermano.
Muchísimas gracias, hermano. Thank you very much.
Gracias. Hey, I've been studying our Playboy president-elect for 3 decades now, not to my benefit, but I had a question for Neil, but like a setup first. The one thing I've seen that he's excellent at is attention suction. He's been an attention suction schemer for pretty much his whole life, and he's built attention suction system that's probably the largest in the world, and there's a lot of people that imitate his attention suction system, and they're like mini attention suction schemers. So Neil, like, my question is, locally, who would be the attention suction schemers here locally that we should starve because they need fuel like wood and our attention to grow, right? So who should we starve?
Boy, I like that question. Let me answer it a bit differently. I'm endlessly frustrated by the relentless right wing attacks on judges, the tough on crime crew, and I wish there was more pushback. So I get what you're saying. Who is relentlessly seeking attention and getting attention? What I wish is that we just had a better network of local independent media, but also more brave elected officials who would who would fight back on some of these narratives that the judges are letting every criminal go. So what frustrates me from your question, I hope it's an answer, are the unanswered accusations that just are over and over, and we've created this narrative that was this crime narrative that's been so damaging to the republic. We lost 6 or 7 judgeships. Sean Tier barely won his district attorney race, and we do not push back. And I wish we would have the confidence, or we find people who have been victimized by a terrible crime and they become spokespersons for, there's 3 of them locally I can think of. And we're afraid they were victims of terrible crime, or family members were. We're afraid to answer them back, and we're not even competing against these attention sucking people.
Well, I think a lot of on the side, let's say the progressives, etc., they need to take a page out of the Mexican president Chamboin's book. When President Trump started to talk about what she's doing, she told a few truths, and one of the things that we hate to hear, meaning specifically the right hates to hear, is the truth. The truth that, well, the problem is really, we are the problem. If we have a fentanyl problem, don't look at the border. Don't look at the supply side. Look at the reasons we have a fentanyl problem. We have a crime problem. Don't look at the specific crime that is committed by one foreigner that comes over here compared to the hundreds and thousands of crimes that are occurring every day with guns produced by American manufacturers.
Right.
So I mean, we have to start getting honest with who is the culprit for the problems, and our own capitalist industries are the ones that needs to get these drugs out to maximize profits, that needs to get these guns out to maximize profits, that our healthcare system is screwed up because we need to maximize profits by either denying healthcare or putting healthcare in a position where it doesn't. I mean, when we look at all the issues, they all tie into one specific problem. And when we get honest about that, then we'll solve our problems. Anything else?
We won't.
Go ahead, Neil.
We won't defend ourselves, and the deportations. And I've been very frustrated. There's a lot of these deportations are coming, and we've been told over and over and over and over about the diversity of Houston, the value of immigrants. There's not a single Democratic Party politician whom you could hold a press conference. You could use campaign funds to sponsor a website in multiple languages. Here are the resources you have if confronted by an immigration. Here are the legal rights that you have. I'm not even telling these people to risk prosecution. I'm not telling them to say I'm going to be a sanctuary. But there's not a single Democratic politician on council or in the legislature who is preparing people at all for what's coming, even as the Republicans talk about deporting American citizens and tearing up families.
Let me just say one thing. One of the things that's coming is the biggest payoff there is. Farmers will be paying off Donald Trump, and he will lock up a few in concentration camps that are run by his business partners to make some money, meaning skim some more money from the government. All of that's going to be done. But as far as if it starts to damage it will damage the economy if they really were to execute it. They won't execute it as we think. They are going to they'll make shows out of it. He will make production out of it. In other words, we'll get a whole bunch of brown people here, lock them up, let everybody see it. But the amount of people that they're going to lock up compared to the amount of those people in the country will be negligible. Let's go to anything else, Steve, real quick, that before I go to Patrick?
Yeah, I'd say keep your power and keep your attention, and divide. Give it to people carefully, as opposed to all these. The powerful want the attention suction schemers in our lives so they can keep doing what they do and keep us down, right? So anyway,
exactly right. Thank you, Steve. You have a wonderful rest of your day, and let's go to Brother Patrick. Come on in, Brother Patrick. How are you doing this morning?
All right.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir. Talk to me. I see we just dropped a call. Call back if we dropped you accidentally, please. Go ahead, Patrick.
I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. When Facebook offered the fact checking, I thought part of it was because they were under pressure because there was foreign agencies, foreign governments that were spreading misinformation to manipulate elections and to create unrest in different countries, especially this one.
You are correct. There's actually a documentary that was made. There's this group, I forgot the name of the group now. I think they were out of the UK that managed a whole lot of this stuff, and there's a full documentary done about it. How they hoodwinked. They manipulated Facebook, and actually Facebook also helped Donald Trump on how to use the algorithms to best get his message out. I'm talking about 2016. Gosh, I can't remember the name of the company, but yeah, it was all forced onto Facebook in the first place because Zuckerberg has always talked about, he's always wanted to make a lot of money, and you make a lot of money by allowing it to turn into a cesspool, and that's what he did. Now, and he's doing it again.
Well, the reason why I brought it up is I think maybe we should be framing it that way. That in 2016 we investigated Russian interference in the elections, and we have evidence for it. And the president at the time went in front of everybody and said that there was no collusion. And you could even see Putin's face when he said it. Putin was surprised. We need to be asking, why are we promoting a president that wants disinformation from foreign countries to manipulate our people? And then next, why aren't we talking about all the information recently that's come out about Epstein and Trump?
Patrick, I want to stop you there for a reason. Let me explain something to you. And this is clear. This is very clear right now with what Trump is talking about: Greenland, Panama, and these other places. Remember, one of the reasons they said Trump got elected was because he's one of the first presidents that was anti-war. He wanted nothing to do with war, etc. Right. And all his minions, all his puppets were saying that. All the people who followed him were saying that. It was all about inflation. It was all about the price of eggs. Now that Trump wants to change the subject from the price of eggs because he realized he can't do anything about it, he goes ahead and he brings up Greenland, Panama, Canada, Mexico, right? He brings all these things up. And suddenly the same people, including the Fox News charlatanes that were talking about, and he's not a war guy, whatever, you have them saying, Greenland, we need it for security. Maybe if we have to take it, we should. These guys are they are completely mind controlled. So what you're saying about what Russia comes in or whatever, they're even okay with Russia. Remember a time when being aligned with Russia, the right wing would really put you to burn at the stakes? Now they are the ones who think, hey, Russia is okay. Oh, Russia is strong. It's all good.
Let me add. Of course, it was Mitt Romney in 2012 who had it right. That Russia was and and Obama disagreed. But and then in terms of the disinformation, as the caller is saying, Musk, our co-president Musk, is in England, Germany, France, and he is trying to topple every Democratic elected government. So not only is it the disinformation here, Trump and Musk are actively participating. The far right AFD party in Germany, Musk is tweeting it. Vance has emphasized those tweets, and they are coming for our freedom, and they're coming for everybody's freedom.
Well,
this disinformation.
The attempt is a billionaire takeover, but go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, I was listening and I lost the train of thought.
Okay. Well,
sorry,
no problem. I got some other
driving
calls, Patrick. So let's talk if you're around. Let's talk at 3. Okay.
One more comment.
Yes, sir.
One more comment. Mr. Aquino earlier started saying that we were promised that the internet was going to be this great change for education and everything. I think that it could have been, and he didn't say that it wasn't, but it got hijacked. It was a part of the commons, and just like everything else, they steal what the commons own. They take it for what they want to make money off of it, and they destroy it. That's all.
And they're going after Wikipedia. Directly use of the word, just use the word commons, and Wikipedia, which used to be seen as the bane of information, and it's developed a somewhat better reputation. And now they're going after. I saw where the Heritage Foundation is going after. I think it was there was one specific issue the Heritage Foundation was going after Wikipedia about, and I forget what it was, but it's the same. Wikipedia has remained an relatively independent source, and they are now going after Wikipedia. So anything that does sort of fulfill its mission, they go after it.
There you go. Anyway, thank you very much, Patrick. We'll see you at 3 if you're there, my brother. Let's go to Bart. Come on in, Bart.
Yes, sir. Good morning. A lot of topics this morning, but as far as Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, he sat in front of Congress and said he did not censor anyone. Right. And this new year rolls out, and he says he is going to stop censoring people. So which is it? Why isn't this
actually you're mixing things up completely, and that is what your information sources tend to do to you, Bard. But I'm thankful that you do listen to Politics Done Right, where we can actually clear it up for you. It's all time based. In other words, in 2016, right, when Donald Trump had full control of, in fact, he had help from Facebook to get his message into your mailboxes, and evidently it landed perfectly. Russia actually had a whole lot of bots, human bots as well as other bots, that's verifiable. And I can't remember the name of the company. It had a Informatica or something like that.
Was that Cambridge
Informatica. Yeah, Cambridge Informatica. So I mean, there are a lot of this is all fact based that they actually co-opted Facebook to really do some misinformation for Donald Trump, and after getting a whole lot of pressure because these guys were lying to guys like you, Bard, and guys like you were believing it, Bard, we said we would institute fact checking. They said they would institute some fact checking. I mean, if somebody comes out and say the sky is made out of carbon dioxide 99%, you don't want that information. That is actually a lie. Should that supersede free speech? No. So we had fact checking that we didn't stop you from saying that. We just said that statement that this person just made is wrong. Trump objected to that because they want to be able to lie to you, because they know some of you won't go and do any further fact checking. Like, many of the things that you tell me here, it simply doesn't pass the muster of facts. Go ahead.
I'm glad they did that, because I saw what happened during COVID, and I can now recognize lies everywhere on social media.
What is a COVID lie, my friend? I'm just curious. Just give me one COVID lie.
Let's go to to Epstein, your friend, this guy.
No. I asked you,
Where's the COVID?
sir, I asked you a question. You mentioned
Okay.
COVID. I asked you to give me a COVID lie.
Okay, that masks were effective. Number one.
All right. Now, again, and you've learned from your source of media, and I'm going to let you go pretty soon because I need to continue, but you're going to learn from your media sources that masks didn't work, right? But I'm saying now that there were two counties in, I think it was Kansas, that put that to the test. One county enforced masking and the other county didn't. The death rates and caught rates of COVID in the county that wore masks were negligible, while the ones in the county who didn't wear masks, those people, the death rates were catastrophic. Let me give you another example. Because of the misinformation conservatives received, conservatives weren't wearing masks at the level that progressives were wearing masks. And guess who died mostly? A lot of people would have said, hey, why not let Darwinism work? But we love you, Bard. We don't want you to die. So we went ahead and we wore the mask no matter and saved your life. So
Sure did.
again, so here's the deal, Bard. I asked you to give
didn't
me
help
one
me at all.
COVID lie. Wait, hold on. I asked you to
I
give
can
me
say
one
more.
COVID lie, and what you gave was something that was able to prove my point. So for that, I thank you so kindly.
That's
All right,
your
you said you wanted to
That's
say
your opinion.
no. Again, we have the numbers to prove it, sir. The numbers, again,
No,
that's the
your
thing. I
numbers are
ask
from
everybody
false
who
sources.
listens to Politics Done Right. I ask everybody who listens to Politics Done Right to fact check me. I don't
Source.
ask you
What's your
to
source?
take anything on my, on just on my word. All right,
What's your
next
source
subject,
then?
real
What's
quick,
your
because I
source?
need to move on. Next subject. Come on,
What's
Bard,
your
next
source?
subject.
Okay, the next subject is Epstein. Bill Clinton went to Epstein Island 27 times.
Oh.
And you go on Wikipedia right now, your holy grail there, Wikipedia, and see that has been scrubbed, and it does not mention Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, of who we still do not know whose name.
First
was
of
in
all,
the black book.
I don't care. First of all, I don't care, number one. Number two, if he went 100 times, I don't care. It has no effect on me. Now, if somebody tells me that Bill Clinton did something to affect a minor, if Bill did something to and these other, if Bill Clinton stole your money, that makes a difference. But that Bill
What do you think
Clinton
they
is
were doing
doing
on Epstein
whatever, I don't
Island?
care. But and remember, you voted for a person. You voted for a person who hold women by their, you know what? You voted for a person who stole the money of people who went to school. You voted for a person who was accused of violating women. You did all those things. So, sir, I don't think you have the right to say any of that.
That's
Let's
the
go to
problem.
Brian.
You don't
Come on in,
care.
Brian. Brian, come on in.
Yeah, good morning. How is everyone today?
We're doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
Okay, yeah, he brought up some valid points. I just got into the very end of it. I was actually going to bring up some other stuff, but you talked about the lies, and can it be proved or anything else about the COVID? Is that correct? Did you just
Yeah.
say that?
Why don't you
Okay.
make your points, Brian, instead of asking me questions? Make your point, sir.
I am trying to make a point. I'll go back to the original point. Why do you cut people off when they disagree with you?
No, I cut people off when they lie.
Okay, now is ivermectin a prophylactic that would prevent the COVID? Is that you gonna lie about that? How about
Why would I-
hydroxychloroquine? Is that an effective prophylactic? Don't laugh. Answer the
No.
question.
Everybody who was taking it, all these folks who've been taking it died. But continue.
No, they did not. Talk to the Fifth Avenue Nursing Home in Texas City, Texas. 38 patients were given hydroxychloroquine. They survived. They're in a nursing home. They were in a nursing home. They survived. You didn't hear about that, did you?
Okay, I tell you what, I am not going to spend a whole lot of time on the COVID stuff that's been proven to be useless. So why don't you go to the next subject?
Okay, no, I don't want to go to the next subject. I didn't ask for this.
Well, then
It isn't
after,
effective. It is. it is an effective.
Again, we are not going to discuss. We're not going to discuss that, or else we're going to move on. So go to the other subject you want to discuss, because again, I'm not going to entertain right-wing crazy stuff that hurts people, and you guys hurt people when you put out information like that. I'm not doing that on my program. So go to the next subject, sir.
Okay, archives is a terrible thing on your program because you can go back to it and you can fact check yourself. Okay, yesterday I got into it late, but I don't remember the exact numbers from yesterday, but it was like 14.3 seconds. You started cutting people off. Now, at like yesterday at 17 minutes into your program, someone called. You agreed with me.
Do you use a stopwatch?
I suggest.
How do you time it?
Look, I am not going to go through. Wait, listen, I am not going to go through that with you. Okay, if you want, this platform is for you to put out a message, and after you've done, but I'm not going to go back with what you fact check with what I say, because I put everything. I'm an open book. Not only on the archives at KPFT do I keep it there, but on my own archives, plus on YouTube. Everybody can listen and watch everything. I'm an open book. So make your point if you want to say something, my dear Brian.
I just did. Someone that agrees.
Okay, is there anything else? All right, let's get to let's. Okay, bye, Brian. Again, if you want to have something constructive to say, please do. But otherwise, we're not going to waste the time. Neil, there's another subject that you wrote about in your blog.
It was up actually. I went to a Democratic club meeting. Our Oak Forest Democrats. The legislature is in session next week. And I know that's sad. That'll level. We want medically positive information, and I've just increased your stress level. So that's not medically positive news. But the Texas legislature meets next week, and I went to the Oak Forest Democratic meeting where the speaker was State Representative Christina Morales, who I think it was Texas Monthly, I believe that's the source, rated her the most progressive or second most progressive legislator, state house member in the state. She represents the Heights and some Latino areas in Northside. Morales, she runs a business in the community, and she was talking about the speaker's race, and she is supporting a Democrat for speaker. So there are three candidates: a Democrat, a state representative Ramos, and then two Republicans, a state representative Cook and Burrows. And these fights keep coming up every 2 years. Usually the Democrat, because we don't have the majority, we have 62 seats out of 150. The Democrats support a Republican in exchange for what some term as scraps. So some committee chairs, some of this, some of that. There's been a better push, a more aggressive push in this session, coming up session, to not support any of these folks, maybe begin to build the party. Because when you get into these Republican ecosystems, you not only do you vote for them for speaker, it limits your capacity to criticize. If you criticize too much, you might be booted from that committee that you were given. And it was interesting. Christina talked about she was one of 23 of the 62 Democrats who was not going to, not at this point at least, vote for the Republican speaker. So that's something to watch. It's a change. Gene Wu is the new chair of the Democratic caucus. He's a Houston legislator, and that seems to herald a more aggressive approach to the Republicans. And I sure wish they would.
I'm going to bring him on.
Sure wish they would.
I had an appointment to speak to him, and we kind of cross things. So I am going to talk to him and see if Democrats in the legislature in Texas, unlike other legislatures, are finally going to get a spine, even being in the minority. Because again, I see there are some very strong Democrats in the legislature, but you need a whole lot more that are not going to take it. Because again, let me tell you something that I think that hurts the party in Texas. Right now, the Republican legislature is killing Texans by
Right.
not supporting the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. And
Yeah,
most
that
of
came
the
up.
peop-
Yep.
And most of the people being killed are people in rural areas, people that
Right.
vote for Republicans all of the times. The hospitals that are closing are in rural areas. I mean, the poor folks in Houston always get care because we have the medical center. But the ones in the rural areas, they can't get here, and they don't have hospitals. And they continue to vote for those criminals who take away their lives.
And they
So I mean,
continue to vote for pro. In a lot of these rural areas in the counties, the school districts are one of the largest or the largest employers. The
right.
voucher fight is, they're going to try to bring back vouchers. And yet in these counties, they're voting for Trump 80 or even 90%. And we need some of our rural brothers and sisters to really help their own interests.
You can't cede the rural areas to conservatives who are harming them.
Yeah.
I love my rural brothers and sisters too. I want to see our city Democrats that have been gerrymandered into rural areas to go into those damn rural areas and earn the damn vote.
Yeah.
Go earn the vote. Anyway, we have Eddie on the line. Come on in, Eddie.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to back up to Bart and to Brian and just point out a little thing. So when Bart said that masks don't work, you talked about Kansas and a county that one wore masks, one didn't wear masks. The results were very different. And he said that's a fact, and it proves Bart wrong. But when Brian came on and said ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine were valid treatment options for COVID, he did the same thing and gave you the same kind of information about a nursing home that validated 38 cases of successful trials of those drugs, and you brushed it off as hearsay.
Right. And let me explain why. You know what? I'm so glad that you brought that up, Eddie, because other people would have heard it just the way you heard it, because that's the way it should have been heard. But the thing about it is, when they did those tests, and again, this is all open book thing, right? You can go look it up yourself. Brian came from a false study on the right, and maybe I should have said that. Okay, it was not a scientific study. The study in Kansas was a scientific study. The study there was something that they wanted to try to prove a point. There are actual studies with I can't pronounce the word. There are actual studies of that drug. And not only that, the mechanics of how that drug works. And that's the reason I completely blew off what Brian had to say, because what Brian had to say endangers the community. Because coming and telling me, well, in West Texas, an arbitrary thing that where 38 people lived against thousands of people in 2 different counties, and also a double study, it doesn't. There's no comparison there. So I am glad that you brought that up, because it is important that people see, that people understand that, no, I'm not being partial or I'm not being unequitable. So Brian is simply wrong, Eddie. And if you believe that as well, you, my dear brother, are wrong. Is wrong.
There's a similar study that was done out of Europe that compared hospitals. And I can probably cite you the information tomorrow. But they
you can please, again, let me tell you something. Cite the information, and don't only bring it from select areas. We have to do studies that follow scientific principles.
Exactly what you said about Kansas. One hospital had a strong masking policy. The other one didn't. There were no significant difference in the rate of COVID infection.
Let's stop for a second. Again, here's the deal. If you have one hospital and another hospital, and you say there's no significant differences, I will say first, okay, let's do a better study. We have 2 counties.
This is a well-run study published in a scientific journal, and I will do my best to dig it out, because it's been some time since I've read it.
I understand that, but let me tell you again, sir, the way science works, and again, sometimes people talk about, things change or whatever. As you build,
please don't belittle my intelligence and say I don't understand science.
Well, let me tell you, if I am not trying to undermine your intelligence, but if you're still on the other a drug thing and trying to push right-wing points, sir, I will have to undermine your not your intelligence, but your practicality, sir. Okay, because again, science is science is science.
As many studies as you can get to back up your facts, I can find a study that refutes your facts. For example,
you're wrong, but anyway, sir, again, you're wrong. That is not true. You're simply wrong. And we're going to end this here, my dear brother, because that is simply not true. And our audience doesn't need to hear things that are not true.
Well, again, you're entitled to your opinion, but the facts are
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, let's go to the studio.
Oh, well, very interesting debate there. The one thing that we know that did not work was injecting bleach or any type of antiseptic. The president at the time suggested, just insert and inject some antiseptics or Lysol or something. We know that didn't work.
Howard, let me just say something before. I'm sorry to interrupt you because Eddie brought up a very good point as far as it seemed like I blew off Brian for using the same similarities, right? But that is what the Heritage Foundation has learned to do, to flood the market with a whole lot of bad studies to compete against very well science studies. And then there are the people who are predisposed to believe that. And as my responsibility as a host, as an honest host, is not to let plausibility make people make bad decisions, because we're talking about life and death here. And when we have Eddie comes and say, well, for every study you can come, I can bring another study, that brings plausibility and it kills people. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, that's okay. I was done. Jack, you got anything? No. Jack says no. Take it home, Egberto.
All right, come on in, Neil, from the founder of the Houston Democracy Project.
From the University of Kansas Health System, masks are optional but recommended. Masks continue to be a key tool for infection prevention and control. To keep patients safe, masks are required in some care areas. Examples include cancer care settings and those with immunocompromised patients. So that's from the radical hotbed of Kansas, where they say that, and it's a real tragedy. We remember the morgue trucks where people were stuck. Millions of people died, and it's just a real tragedy that this is the debate.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not going to be the debate here. We are only going to tell the truth.
Right.
All the callers, all the callers, listeners, love you all. Thank you, studio, for the great work. Thank you, Neil, for being here. And again, it continues at politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics and Right, comes from politicsandright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This